Emsport is the oldest and most experienced team in the service park right now, but they've been dead last in the standings for 2 years straight. Being a private team in a championship which is so dependent on money will never be a walk in the park. Just ask Sir Frank Williams. But Emsport has had their fair share of glory days in the WRC, and we're going to take a quick look at how these glory days came into fruition and why the winning suddenly stopped. We need to go back a few years to understand why Emsport doesn't have the same budget as their main rivals. Ford and Emsport formed a partnership in 1997, with Emsport and Malcolm Wilson being selected to breathe new life into Ford's WRC project. They had great drivers in those cars like Colin McRae, Carlos Sainz, Marcus Grönholm, Mikko Hirvonen and Juha Kankkunen, but always fell short of winning the Drivers' Championship. In 2006, the team won its first manufacturer's title after 27 years and followed it up by winning it again in 2007. Ford won 8 rallies out of the 16 in 2006 and 7, and their biggest strength were their drivers, Marcus Grönholm and Mikko Hirvonen, who were both capable of winning rallies and were both really consistent. But after 2007, when Marcus Grönholm retired, Emsport didn't win a title for 10 years.
Why?
Emsport had a very competitive car in the Ford Focus WRC, but after Grönholm's retirement, a young Jari-Matti Latvala was promoted to Emsport's first team. And if anybody knows Jari-Matti, at the beginning of his career as a first team driver, he also tried to be Evel Knievel and possibly grab the title for the longest crash ever and one of the stupidest crashes ever. Hirvonen was fast and consistent till 2009, when he lost the title to Loeb by a mere point. But after that, Hirvonen's pace suddenly dropped. In 2010, he finished 6th with a whopping 150 points behind Loeb. And that's a year after he lost the title by a point. Now he's 150 points behind. Emsport's problem was that when Hirvonen was fast and consistent, Latvala wasn't. And when Latvala was fast and consistent, Hirvonen wasn't. Because the last 3 years of the 2-liter generation were disappointing, Emsport's garage turned their hopes to the new generation, which was going to be a 1.6-liter Ford Fiesta. But little did they know, this generation would bring them more misery than ever before. Their only good season was their first season with the car, in 2011, where Hirvonen lost the title to Loeb by 8 points and Emsport lost the title by 27 points. That's quite close. After 2011, Mikko Hirvonen left Emsport for Citroën, which at the time was absolutely mind-blowing. It's like a Manchester United player would join Liverpool, or if Magic Johnson joined the Celtics after losing to them in the finals. This meant that Jari-Matti was promoted to first driver, and Petter Solberg was hired to drive the second car in 2012. Petter was showing great pace with his own private team, and people had high hopes for that Emsport lineup. But that season was more one-sided than a fight between Mike Tyson and a toddler. They grabbed only 2 wins, and Latvala finished behind Loeb and Hirvonen in 3rd, with Solberg finishing in 5th, behind the privateer Mads Østberg. After 2012, the GOAT Loeb retired, and you would think that maybe the nightmares are over for Emsport. But no, it actually got worse. Ford announced at the end of 2012 that they would be ending their sponsorship deal with Emsport after 17 years. And to make matters even worse, VW entered the sport in 2013 with a certain Mr. Ogier already signed up, but they also had signed Jari-Matti for Emsport. It's like taking candy from a baby. Emsport hired Østberg and Novikov for the 2013 season. Østberg had some decent results, but didn't get a win, and Novikov was a straight up disaster. He finished 221 points behind Ogier and a point ahead of Sebastian Loeb. But Loeb participated in 4 rallies and retired in 1 versus Novikov, who participated in all 13 rallies. From 2013 till 2016, Emsport didn't win 1 rally, with their lineup consisting of young and up-and-coming drivers who by nature crash more than the experienced WRC drivers. But a lot of positive news for Emsport came at the end of 2016, when VW got caught up in Das Dieselgate, which forced VW to pull out of the WRC altogether. They even had their new car built and ready to dominate but the car was put on a shelf, literally. And Ogier, Latvala and Mikkelsen were all now free agents and free to sign with whoever they wanted. Latvala went to Toyota, Ogier went to Emsport, and Mikkelsen went home at first, and then got a partial program with Hyundai. Ogier tested the Toyota, but later chose Emsport, saying that working with Malcolm was a chance that he may never get again. And because Emsport is always strong at the beginning of a new generation, it looked like the best option. They also hired a rising star, Oid Tanak, who had been driving with DMAC for the past couple of years. Ogier and Tanak both won 2 rallies in 2017 and clinched the manufacturer's title with ease, but the fight for the driver's crown was way more intense. Hyundai's Thierry Neuville had possibly his best year ever in 2017 and won 4 rallies, but his 4 retirements in Monza, Sweden, Germany and Spain cost him the title in 2017. Many of these retirements were mechanical, so they weren't exactly Thierry's fault, but some crashes, like Sweden, were just peak stupidity by Thierry. This meant that Ogier clinched the driver's title for Emsport, with Tanak finishing in 3rd. Because 2 Fords were in the top 3, Ford decided to play a more active role in the WRC and started to help Emsport with car development from 2018 onwards. At the end of 2017, Mr. Tanak grabbed the chance to drive in a factory team and left Emsport for Toyota, and Elvin Evans stepped up as the second driver for Emsport. If you look at this team and think, wow, Evans and Ogier in the same team, this is a manufacturer's dream. Not in 2018. In 2018, Elvin was absolute trash. I'm sorry, but I think you'll agree. He finished the season in 7th with only 2 podiums and 5 stage wins, compared to Ogier's 38 stage wins, 4 victories and 2 podiums. Emsport was 3rd in the Manufacturers' Championship, with Toyota grabbing their first title after being away from the sport for 18 years. But Mr. Sebastien Ogier still managed to grab the driver's title on the last rally in Australia. After 2018, Ogier left Emsport for Citroën, so he could speak French at work. And Elvin Evans was promoted to first driver, with a young Teemu Suninen getting a call up for the 2nd seat. I guess you can already see where this is going.
No, God! No, God, please, no! No!
In terms of Elvin, in 2019 he actually got better, but still wasn't at a level to fight for the title. He also missed 3 rallies in the middle of the season because he broke his back in Rally Estonia. And in terms of Suninen, he got a podium in Sardinia, which is good, but he also had 5 retirements and finished the season with 89 points, 13 points less than Elvin, whose back was fucking broken. They weren't consistent, but the speed was okay? No. In 2019, Emsport had a total of 20 stage wins. To put this into perspective, Oid Tanak and Martin Järveoja won 73 stages that year. Things got even worse for Emsport after 2019. Yes, actually got worse. When Elvin Evans got an opportunity to sign with Toyota and left Emsport. To rub even more salt in the wounds, Elvin found some extra speed in 2020 and almost won the title if it wasn't for a mistake on the final rally of the season. Emsport, on the other hand, was left with Suninen and Green Smith and hired a free agent Esa-Pekka Lappi, who was left without a seat when Citroën decided to leave the WRC after 2019. At first glance, Lappi with Emsport seemed maybe like the perfect marriage. Lappi's driving style seemed like it would complement the Ford perfectly, but it was nothing like it. All 3 drivers were struggling to find pace against the Toyotas and Hyundais, and they weren't helped by the fact that due to COVID, Emsport had financial struggles and the testing days were very limited, with Emsport having 3 times less test days than Toyota and Hyundai. They had only 3 stage wins throughout the 2020 season, and I think I don't have to bring any sort of statistic up to show you this is a very small number. So we can see that Emsport is capable of building title winning cars, but like in every sport, you need the whole package to make it work. And by the whole package, I mean that you need some sort of factory support or a 4-time world champion behind the wheel. With these disappointing results in the past 2 years, Emsport has shifted their focus on building the new generation 2022 car, and we're the first team to get the new car on the ground and running. Ford is backing Emsport in building the new car, and if we look at recent history, it's quite clear that Ford is very strong at the beginning of a new generation, which means we might see some drivers moving to Emsport at the end of 2021. Malcolm Wilson, the godfather himself, has said that his main priority is to get at least one driver that is capable of winning the championship in 2022.